Hi boys and girls, and welcome to today's remote learning art video. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to make something called t-shirt yarn. So what you're going to need is an old t-shirt. This is just one of my boyfriend's old work shirts that he doesn't need anymore, and a pair of scissors. So make sure if you are cutting up one of your shirts, you get your parents' permission to do so first, or maybe they have an old one that you can use, and make sure that you have scissors that are sharp enough to cut through fabric. Yeah, I would recommend using a cotton shirt. Mine is a little bit of a weird material, but it's still gonna work for us. And yeah, we're gonna make t-shirt yarn, which is pretty much our own little ball of yarn that you can use for any crafts or activities that you would like with a t-shirt. So like I said, you need a t-shirt and scissors. So if you don't have those materials, go ahead and gather them, pause the video, and we're gonna jump right into it. So what we're gonna do to start is we have our shirt nicely lined up, and we are just going to cut our sleeves off. Your lines do not have to be perfect. Just go ahead and cut them off. We are not going to be needing these pieces. However, if you wanted to use them as fabric for another project, that would be completely fine as well. So if you want to use these for something else, like I said, hold on to them. If not, you can toss those to the side. We also need to cut these little edges where there's kind of like a hem and it's a little bit thicker, and we're going to cut off the top part of our shirt too. So let's do that. Cut off the bottom edges. You're just going to want to line them up so you can do it in one cut instead of multiple, which makes everything a lot easier. Like I said, your lines don't have to be perfect. And if you don't want to use this for another project, go ahead and just toss it to the side. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we are going to cut where our sleeves kind of end right here. It's going to be a big rectangle. We are going to cut that straight across, well, as straight as we can. I have a pocket in mine, which makes it a little more difficult, but that's okay. And this is going to be one of our pieces. What we're actually going to do for this one though is we need to make one single cut in it. So where the seam is, your shirt may not have a seam. A seam is where it's just sewn together. A lot of t-shirts don't have that. So if it doesn't, all that you need to do is just make one cut through this entire thing. But I'm going to do mine on the seam. But yeah, you're just going to make one cut so that it is not together on the edges. Okay, so now you could fold it apart. I'm going to cut this little tag off because we're not going to be needing that. It's one giant piece, but I'm actually going to go ahead and fold it back in half because when we use this big piece, we're going to want it to be folded. Okay, perfect. So let's put this one to the side. We're going to use this one a little bit later. So let's get this piece out, which was the top part of our shirt. What we're going to do is these edges are a little bit crooked. So we're gonna line up these edges, and we are going to also cut out the top part. So what that's gonna leave us with is 2 small rectangles. And once again, like all my videos, if I am going too quickly, pause the video, catch up with whatever we are doing, and then just push play again. I do tend to move pretty quickly through these just so they are faster to upload. But like I said, just pause these videos at any time and catch up. And the cool thing about a video recording is that if you get lost or confused in any way, you can rewind and listen to my instructions, which you cannot do in real life. Okay, so we are going to clear out the scrap material that is trash. So we have these 2 rectangles. So you're gonna do this one at a time. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna try to do this as evenly as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna be cutting 2 lines, not entirely to the edge, but almost right up to the edge, like there and there. It's kind of messy marking out, but you don't have to mark it out. If you want to measure it and mark it out with a pencil, that's fine too. But for those of you who are learning about fractions in math, we are dividing this into thirds. So I'm gonna get started. And like I said, I'm gonna cut it to the edge, but not quite. I'm probably gonna leave about 1 inch. And yeah, I'm gonna be making 2 cuts to start off with, dividing our shirt square into thirds. Okay, so now that I have this spot, I'm gonna divide this in half, and I'm gonna cut that. Okay, so once you have your 2 cuts, you'll have this kind of octopus looking shape going on with these weird tentacles. And what we're gonna do is we are actually now on the other side gonna cut 3 more lines that go almost to the edge, and we are going to do them directly in the middle of each of these little tentacle-like shapes, creating a zigzag effect. I'm gonna show you how to do this all over again on our second rectangle. So we're gonna do this again. Okay, there's the first one. And the cool thing about t-shirt yarn is it has a really unique texture. Things don't have to be perfect. See, I kind of messed up right there because our t-shirt yarn isn't going to be perfect. It's not going to be the same width all the way around, and that is just fine. Okay, like I said, do our best to cut it down the middle, but if it's not perfect, that's fine. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of, don't pull too hard, otherwise it could rip it all the way through, but we're gonna take our t-shirt yarn. See, this one has a really big edge, so I'm actually gonna cut it a tiny bit closer. There we go. But you don't wanna pull too hard because you don't wanna rip it. That edge looks pretty good. We're gonna pull it a little bit. This one is a little too big. Go ahead and cut that one. Perfect. So here's our first bit of our t-shirt yarn. So we are going to cut our second rectangle using that same method, and then I'm going to show you a different method to cut our big piece of the t-shirt. So like we did before, we are dividing our rectangle into thirds, cutting about, I'd say, an inch or 2 away from the edge. Like I said, if you want to mark this out with a pencil or a marker so you can follow lines, that is something that would be easier. Or if you want your parents to help you and mark out the lines for you so you know where to cut, that's an option that you can do as well. Okay, here we go. We're flipping it around with these lines facing the other way, and now we're going to cut 3 more lines directly down the center of each of these tentacle looking lines. Doing our best to cut in the middle, not cutting all the way through. That's the most important part. So we're just repeating exactly what we did on the last little rectangle. And like I said, we have a different method that we're gonna do for our big rectangle from our t-shirt. Okay, so now same thing. We're just gonna stretch it out a little bit, but it has these cool little ragged edges, which will look really cool if you're doing some kind of weaving with your t-shirt yarn or any other projects that you can use this with. Maybe we'll do a project later using our t-shirt yarn. That could be fun. Okay, and I have these weird little areas from where my pockets were. So I'm just gonna cut out the excess fabric so it doesn't make it too bulky, because remember my t-shirt that I used had a pocket on it. So I'm cutting out those 2 extra little pieces so it's not too bulky. So we have, from our little rectangle, we have a lot of t-shirt yarn already. We're gonna put this to the side. We're saving that.